Hello, welcome to the Marketing Tintin. I'm Kevin, and I'm really excited to hold this conversation. Today, I don't want this to feel like a technical session. Rather, I want this to feel like an honest conversation about what it really takes to lead transformation, especially when AI, automation, and business pressure are all moving at the same time. Because everyone talks about transformation, everyone talks about AI, but very few people have actually led these changes across global teams, enterprise systems, revenue operations, customer experience, and business critical platforms. And that's exactly why today's conversation is going to be valuable. And I'm really excited to have Tejaswi Devru with us today. Tejaswi is an award winning transformation leader and currently serves as a vice president of IT customer experience systems at Zendesk. What I personally find interesting is that Tejaswi's journey is not only about technology. It's about using technology to solve real business problems, rebuild trust, improve teams, and create measurable impact. Tejasvi, welcome to the conversation. Really glad that you're here.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So before we jump in, Tejasvi, it would be amazing if you could give us a quick snapshot of your journey. What were the biggest turning points in your career? Was there a moment when you realized transformation would become your core strength? Something like that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin. I did not start as a transformation. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was a mechanical engineer by trade. I started
Hmm.
with Tata Motors as a graduate engineer trainee in 98 and was there for about two and a half years, launching Indica uh, car, which was one of the iconic car at the time, which is fully indigenous car. Then I moved to software. Software was a growing market. I went into Putney Computers, and then I moved to SAP. Then I decided to do my MBA, and that was always my aspiration. Post MBA, I joined management consulting, and the technical background that I had, the manufacturing background I had, combined with the experience and the exposure that I got into multiple transformation projects during my career at PwC and IBM actually helped me to be the transformation leader, to acknowledge that there are many facets to transformation. It's not just technology, it's people, process, technology, and data all coming together to enable the transformation. So today I'm part of Zendesk team, leading a team of people and excited about the upcoming challenges and opportunities with AI.
Yeah, that was your whole personal journey in just 1 minute. That's
Yes.
nice. Yeah, yeah. Such a long journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's start with something that I personally love, stories from the field. You have worked on transformation projects where the stakes were very high. So when you look back, what is one transformation project that taught you the most about leadership?
Yeah. So a lot of people, when they think about transformation, think about always the digital transformation, like large scale ERP, etc. But one of my first one, as I mentioned, I started as a graduate trainee at Tata Motors. After 1 year of rotation, I was assigned to Indica plant, and
Mhm,
I got to choose crankshaft line, which is one of the hardest part to manufacture in a car. So if you know the
mhm,
crankshaft, it's in an engine and it is eccentric. It's the one that moves the piston ups and downs, and it has to be very accurate in manufacturing. And there are about 40 different machines on the line. Every manufacturing machine that you can think of, whether it's a drilling, a milling machine, or a grinding machine, or a heating, it's there in the crankshaft line. And I was made the manager. I was one of the managers of the crankshaft line, and we were producing at that time on an average about 220 to 230 crankshafts per day, and our target for the manufacturing was about 500 per day. Um, and every other line in the company is producing 500, are capable of producing 500 components per day, and we were holding up the overall production. And at that time, if you in '98 when we came out, there was a huge demand for Indica uh, cars. It was the alternative to Maruti car at the time, and it was the second one. And then there were so many things that the people are loving that car, but we were unable to produce it. So one of the first transformation I got an opportunity was to learn. This process was very well designed. It was designed for 500 cars, but we were not able to produce 500 cars per day. And what it taught to me is you can have the best design, process design, and have it ready. But to execute a transformation, you need people. I needed to walk the shop floor, understand, talk to people, gain their trust, learn where the process is falling down, where are the chances or opportunity to improve. And only by bringing that, we were able to achieve or move towards the target slowly. So one of the biggest lesson I learned from that is the transformation is always a human challenge disguised as a technology problem, but it's you need people and you need to have develop their trust to achieve significant outcomes.
Yeah. Can I ask you one question? You said
Sure.
about gaining people's trust. I think that's also very challenging in hand. So, what's something that you did to gain people's trust?
You have to empathize. You have to live the life with them. So I spent a lot of time on the shop floor along with them. And I was sometimes learning how they do their job as well and trying to understand what it takes to replace a tool or what it takes to load a component. And only by empathizing and understanding their uh, problem, you will be able to gain trust with them.
Mhm. Okay, thank you so much for that. So, I have my next question is regarding AI, AI beyond the hype and everything like that. So, you have actually worked on using generative AI and automation to remove manual work from order and finance operations. So, I wanted to ask this very directly. How important is data quality before bringing in AI?
Absolutely. Very good question, Kevin. I would
Yeah.
answer it as it depends. I'll tell you the reason why. Because when people think about AI, they always talk about Gen AI recently, that has been the hype. But AI is much broader than that. And a lot of AI also depends upon, if you think about using a Google map to go from point A to point B, it is giving you a predictive analytics. It is using predictive AI to predict what time you'll reach the destination, right? That's a different form of AI. So when we think about data for a predictive AI or a prescriptive AI, data is very, very important and it depends upon the use case. So that's one thing. The second, sometimes in a Gen AI use cases, when you are doing a simple one where you are comparing documents or trying to identify, the data may not be that important. But 80 to 90% of the use cases, Kevin, data is absolutely important and it becomes the crux and the foundation for the use cases. The second aspect to this is also is from a business process or a functional perspective, where are you, right? In sales and marketing, if a data is not 100% accurate, you might be able to still use a use case because the risk tolerance at the upfront marketing or sales is pretty high. You can be okay if you can have a human in the loop and try to filter it out and say. But as you go towards finance or order operations, as you go there, the data has to be very, very perfect. It has to be very well because it is going to impact your company's bottom line or the top line metric. So it also there are two variations to this. To answer, data is very important, but it also depends upon the use case and where you are applying in the function. A lot of times, people stop because the data is not 100% accurate. People think I need to get the data 100% accurate before we do the use cases, but there is an alternate way we could. It's about thinking about the systems thinking. It's thinking about the data pipeline and identifying the friction points and trying to unlock use cases that can be done with a certain amount of data and slowly master and make the data better. So you can still do both. That's what I would encourage people to not sit on the sidelines because data is not good, but go in and try to extract use cases by altering the data as or streamlining the data and getting the data quality when necessary.
I absolutely agree with that. And also, you also said that generative AI, when you say people say it's Gen AI and but it's a very broad term. So also there is something called Agentic AI as well, right? So what should leaders understand before jumping into something like Agentic AI?
So the way I tell about agents is it's nothing new, right? So you have I give an example of real estate agent. So you hire a real estate agent. You tell him I want to either buy a home, and you give him a specific specifications to buy a home. I want a two-bedroom home or a three-bedroom home. and you give him the authority to go and search for in a particular area and come back to you with proposals, then ultimately you are making the decision on which home to buy. You can also give that agency to real estate person. Agent is similar to that. Agent is, you are giving an agency to someone or some job that is able to execute on your behalf certain tasks and functions. So agentic AI is, in this case, AI is acting as a brain, like Gen AI is like a brain. And there are tools, like for example, we talked about MCP server or automations, etc. They are like your arms and legs going and executing those tasks. So for me, when I think about agentic AI, it's about the combination of a brain from AI along with ability to execute and giving them the agency. You have to still talk about what that scope of work looks like. What the agents can do or cannot do. In the case of real estate agent, you're authorizing him, you select the house and come to me with a short list of houses. Do not go and buy on my behalf. You can tell him you can buy in on behalf. So it's the same analogy, I think, about agentic AI.
Yeah, talking about leading, I also got one question from what we said right now. So, one thing that stood out from your profile is that work, your work is not only about delivery, it's also about rebuilding trust and creating environments where teams can excel. So, how do you lead change without making people feel like they are being replaced or attacked?
Yeah, it's a very tough question to answer actually. So
Oh,
one of the key things in a transformation is you have to have the trust. You have to be very honest. And one of the key things right now with AI, so much AI coming in, people are defensive. They feel when you talk about efficiencies, when you talk about improvement, people feel that their job is at risk. One of the key things which I tell my team is there's two people who AI will not replace human beings. People who do not use AI will be replaced with human beings. There is a
mhm,
clear distinction here. So when you take a typical role, when you take a sales representative or a BDR, which we all know, their job is to sell, sympathize with the customer, understand the customer's problem, and position your product to solve the customer's problem. And most of the time, when you look at their activities that they do in a day, 40 to 50% of their activities is research or trying to get the information, creating a code or sending an email, etc., which is manual and tedious. What if you can use AI to accelerate or reduce that amount of time? So assume if 50% can be reduced to 10% using AI, they have 90% of the time to think in the customer's thing, go to the customer, talk to them, look at what they are doing in their workplace, and propose a solution that works best. That's the strategic thinking that they can do, and that's the unlock that everybody should be thinking about. So if somebody is thinking that I'm not going to use AI, my job will be secure. No, you have to use AI to be more productive, and actually you will achieve more result, and you will be able to devote more time to strategic things, and you will be able to do more, achieve. So that's the distinction or a change in mindset that need to be brought in. And as leaders who is driving the transformation, we need to have those honest conversations and get the people to understand that it's them who has the mandate to do what it takes to be the next leaders in the world.
you're absolutely right, Tejaswi. So the thing is that I have a friend called George. So when the Gen AI thing had all just started up, all of us friends were a little worried about how our jobs, how it will affect our jobs and our studies, education, and everything like that. So there was this person called George. So he was like, "Okay, you don't have to worry about that. See, it's like just the internet booming or something like that. So you have to find a way to actually make use of it. So try to understand ways to utilize AI, this Gen AI, and try to implement that in whatever work that you're interested in or the work that you do. So yeah, it's I
Absolutely.
totally, absolutely understand your point.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I would like to move on to the last question, and this is probably my favorite. If you could tell your 30-year-old self one thing about becoming a transformation leader, what would it be?
Mm. Yeah. So for me, I listened to Steve Jobs' graduation speech, and he talks about staying hungry and staying curious. And I think if I were going back to 30 years, when I was a 30-year-old and I'm talking to Teja there and telling, Teja, don't worry about the short-term goals that you're thinking. Don't worry too much about the technology that you're mastering, because the technology at the end of the day changes. I started with the mainframe coding, but I joined SAP, and today it has evolved so much, and we are doing something different with AI. Right, the technology changes. What has helped me, and over the course I've learned that is being curious and understanding more about systems thinking and how do I think about that whole problem, and learning new ways to do things and constantly changing and evolving. I think I would tell Teja, and probably that would have been benefited much earlier.
That's pretty much understandable.
Yeah,
I'll also keep that in mind.
yeah.
Okay, all right, Tejasvi, let's switch gears a bit. Quick rapid fire. Were you ready for that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So just say the first thing that comes to your mind. So
Okay.
let's start. One. One word to describe great leadership.
One word to great leadership. Okay, yeah, I think it's trust.
Okay, done. So, next question. Biggest red flag in a transformation project.
Sorry, apologies. I did not hear this.
Biggest red flag in a transformation project.
When you don't have alignment with stakeholders.
Oh, okay. You had said that in the point before. I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
So,
oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, you want me
in a,
to? Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah,
There is some lag. Apologies.
okay. AI overhyped or underestimated?
I feel it is overhyped. It is somewhere in between. There is certainly a lot of value to be derived out of AI. And
Mhm.
it's a spectrum when you consider between 0 to 100. It is not going to solve world hunger, but it is going to change how we do. It's very much like at an inflection point where we are, is like an internet. When internet came in 2000, we did not know what use cases it will be unlocking, but it is a very disruptive force. It will change how we work. But I do not think so. It is going to, it is overhyped at present. That's my take.
Okay, let's move on to the fourth question. Best career advice you have received?
Best career advice.
Yep.
I think I would go back to Steve Jobs thing. Be curious. I think be curious and always have a learning mindset. It is never think of I know it all. We never know it all. And second thing I always emphasize is failure is just an experiment that we learn from, and we need to learn from it and move on. And that's the only way we'll succeed. Those are the two things which uh, I would say.
Okay, moving on to the fifth and last question. One thing leaders should stop doing on LinkedIn.
Leaders should stop doing on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I think, huh. So I think, yeah, it's a lot of leaders just post the content without even checking whether the authenticity of the content, sometimes the data. So I would ask to make sure as a leader, if you're promoting that particular content, to double check the fact and promote it, but also uh, share your original ideas. It may not be the best, but share it over there and try to get feedback from people and evolve it further. So those are the two things I would say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tejasvi. This was such a valuable conversation. Tejasvi, thank you for sharing your journey so openly, especially the parts around transformation, AI, team trust, and leadership visibly. And the rapid fire was also very interesting. I think the biggest takeaway from today is that transformation is not just about new systems or new technology. It's about clarity, trust, execution, and the courage to lead people through change. And to everyone who is watching this, thanks a ton for being here. Tejasvi, do you have anything else to share rather than this?
No, that's it. But thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. And it was fun talking to and exploring a lot of events.
Thank you so much, Tejasvi. If this conversation resonated with you, with the viewers, feel free to share it or reach out. We would love to keep the conversation going. See you in the next one. Ta-da.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.